All right, so good morning, everyone. I am Brianna Rossett. If you don't know who I am, I'm the Office and Events Coordinator here at the Small Business Center. So we offer a bunch of workshops and I guess webinars now since we can't really do too much in person. And so we have webinars going on each week. So we've got webinars coming up next week. This video will also be recorded. So if you have technical issues, you get kicked off, just so you know. All right, so this webinar is 5 steps to conquer your stress. So Shelley has a proven 5-step program to transform your stress and focus your energy, and your success to your business right now. So this is Shelley Wallace. She's the owner of Shelley Wallace Vitality Coaching. Here she is.
Thank you, Brianna. So yes, I show people how to transform their stress into greater focus, energy, and happiness. So thank you for that introduction. And I just want to congratulate all of you who are here for taking this step forward and going into action mode around beginning a transformation. I think during the current times that we find ourselves, we're experiencing stress on many different levels. And essentially the tricky thing with stress is that while stress is actually good for us and prompts us into taking action, if we aren't interpreting it that way, if we interpret stress as something that is evil and has the power to make us sick and eventually kill us, then that is how stress is going to impact us. So I am super passionate about everything that I'm going to be sharing with you today. I did bring notes, so I'm going to try to refer to my notes because each step that I'm going to share with you today could be a workshop all on its own. So I've tried to condense things to bring you maximum value for the hour and a half that we're going to be together. And I also wanted to give you a couple of activities that you could do during the workshop so that you can experience some of these things for yourself and see how powerful they are. So as Brianna said, my name is Shelley Wallace. I'm a Vitality Life Coach. So I show people how to transform their stress into greater focus, energy, and happiness. And I believe that everyone deserves more love, joy, success, and energy in their lives every single day. And that's what we're going to be talking about here today. So with that, I'm going to share my screen. And maybe I'll just get Brianna to tell me if it's showing up on your end. View. Present. Right. So essentially, I believe that every single one of us here on planet Earth possess everything we need within ourselves to lead an extraordinary life. And I think that this message is so powerful for entrepreneurs right now because we are the people who are out there trying to make an impact, trying to create a life for ourselves that is consistent with our unique gifts and our sense of purpose. And sometimes we just need to get out of our own way in order to bring all of the success and the joy that we're seeking to us. And so how many of you can relate to getting in your own way at times? How many of you have ever set a goal for yourself? It could be any kind of a goal, whether it's related to business or to your personal life. And you found yourself self-sabotaging in the process. So you start out with your goal and you're super motivated. And then over time, it's kind of like getting on a roller coaster. Like you start out super motivated and then you hit a trigger and then your motivation goes down and you fall off the rails and you essentially sabotage your progress. And then maybe you regroup and you get back on the roller coaster and you get excited and you set another goal. And then eventually you revert to old habits that are no longer serving you. Can anyone relate to that? If you can relate to that, drop a yes in the chat box. I can relate. And so those sabotaging behaviors come from these programs that kind of run in the back of our minds that we're not fully conscious of. And those programs are connected to memorized behaviors, memorized patterns and ways of being, and they can prevent us from taking our lives to the next level in whatever area it is that you are striving towards. So whether it's health, money, your life's work, your business, your relationships, whatever it might be, we all have certain memorized patterns that are no longer serving us. And when we're able to break through those beliefs and patterns, that's when we take our life to the next level and we really begin to see our goals materializing. And so that's what I'm going to be sharing with you today are my 5 steps to break through these limiting beliefs and patterns that are keeping you stuck in self-sabotage, stuck in stress and overwhelm, so that you can overcome them and, you know, build your business and build your life to the place where you're excited about it every day and you're seeing a return on your investment, your financial investment, but also your psychological and emotional investment. So that's what we're going to be covering today. I'm going to ask everybody to introduce themselves, but I'm going to ask you to do it in the chat just to save us a bit of time. So if you could tell me your name, what your business is, and maybe what your intention is for this workshop today. What are you hoping to take away from this workshop today? So if you could drop that into the chat, that would be great. And I'm going to get started right away, sharing a little bit about my background with you to see if you can see yourself in any of my story. So my story begins when my life was essentially derailed at the age of 16. I learned from my mother that we were going to be moving, that she had bought a business in a small town outside of Athens, Ontario called Charleston Lake. And it was a little restaurant right on the water. And my mom, at that time, when I look back, I realized that she was suffering from burnout and always had this entrepreneurial spirit about her. So she was always working additional jobs. She was always looking for opportunities to earn more money, seeing possibilities. And so this store she had stumbled upon, it's a store/restaurant. And so she bought this restaurant and she broke the news to me that I was going to be leaving Ottawa to go and live with her in Charleston Lake and run this restaurant. That entrepreneurial endeavor changed my life in the sense that at 16, 17, 18, 19, we had the store for about 4 years. I really loved being an entrepreneur. But at the same time, I had left high school at 18 or graduated from high school, went on to university. So we did end up selling the store. And then another business opportunity presented itself to my mom. And because she had done so well on that restaurant, she had essentially tripled her investment and built it up into a very successful business, or we did together. She decided that she was going to purchase another business and that I would run the business. So I graduated from university. I hadn't found a job in my field. So I was working in a factory and very unhappy. So when she bought this store, we went into business together for a second time. And this time it was a disaster. So lots of reasons why, which I won't go into. Now that I'm back into the world of entrepreneurship, I can see a lot of the red flags around that decision. But in any case, my husband at the time and I lost our house. My mom lost her house. It was a very traumatic experience resulting in 2 bankruptcies, essentially. So at that point, I made a decision that I would never take a risk like that again. And all I wanted was to find a job in my field where I could settle in, work for my entire life, and retire from this particular job that I would find. So lo and behold, over time, over a few years, I did land my dream job. It was working in school mental health for the local school board. And I was working with children and families who were really struggling with a lot of very complex needs and who had stopped attending school or disconnected from the school system. So as all of you, those of us who go into the world of entrepreneurship, we tend to be very passionate about the things that we value. And so one of the things that I value is kindness. Another thing is helping others. And so this job fit those needs perfectly. But what began to happen to me over time was that the stress of that job began to have an impact on me. And because I'm a passionate person, I became a leader in my profession. So I became involved with a number of provincial and international committee work that were awesome opportunities for me to lead and to grow and so on, but contributed to my feelings of physical exhaustion and emotional exhaustion as well. And so this kind of all culminated around my work, which was recognized by the Assistant Deputy Minister, and invited me to go to Dublin, Ireland to sit on what was called at the time the Atlantic Rim Collaboration, which was 5 countries plus Ontario coming together to talk about best practices for well-being for staff and students in education. And I went to Ireland in the throes of what was an ongoing and massive kidney stone attack. So as our body tends to do when we're experiencing chronic stress, or we are holding on to negative emotion and we're suppressing it, those show up in our body, and our body begins to send us messages that, you know, you are really off course here and you need to slow down and take care of yourself. And so these kidney stone attacks had been haunting me for a few years. I'd had probably by that point a dozen procedures. And when I went to Dublin, Ireland, I was completely disconnected from the neck down. So I was in pain. I went to the collaboration. I participated fully in it, kept putting one foot in front of the other in survival mode, and just was, again, completely ignoring the signs that my body and my mind were sending me. So fast forward that year to Christmas, and what happened to me was I had a massive meltdown. So I had had a major surgery on both kidneys to remove those stones in the spring. I went back to work in the fall, and I was completely and utterly depleted. So Christmas came around that year, and I had a massive meltdown in front of family and friends over an undercooked Christmas turkey. So we were hosting, we pull this beautiful turkey out of the oven, and it's not cooked, not fully cooked. And we had all our family and friends there, and I had a complete meltdown. So I share this story with you because I'm hoping that it is reaching you before you get to this point in terms of how you are managing stress right now and your history of how you manage stress. And the goal here is to keep other people from getting to that stage. But that meltdown turned out to be a gift because my family had the courage over that Christmas holiday to come to me and talk to me about what they were seeing. My kids said things to me like, you're not the same person anymore. You've lost your sense of humor. You're angry or sad all the time. You're always on the couch and you're on your phone. You're working constantly. You're completely absorbed in like your work, essentially. And we feel completely disconnected from you. So that prompted a lot of reflection over that holiday and then sparked a massive healing journey. So I had been studying positive psychology through Wilfrid Laurier University. I have a degree in social sciences from the University of Ottawa. And then towards the end of my career, as I was doing this committee work, I began studying the science of happiness and well-being, positive psychology. And so while I was in recovery mode, I took time off work and I really focused on healing myself. I worked with a really good therapist at that time because I go all in. So are there any overachievers in this group? Any overachievers? If you're an overachiever, drop a yes in the chat box. So I go all in on everything. So I went all in on my burnout as well. And I was to the point where I was having some PTSD-like effects from chronic stress and burnout. And so, like I said, that sparked this massive healing journey. I began to study continued my studies. I'd been studying it, but I've been applying it to other people, to my clients and so on. So I took that time to apply those things to myself. And I saw a massive shift in my energy, in my happiness, and so on. So long story short, as I went down that path of recovery, I made the decision that I was going to leave my job. And I was going to start a business as a vitality coach. And I was going to show heart-centered, driven people, just like all of you. I see some yeses were dropped in the chat box here. I'm just trying to call up the chat and see what's going on here. Yeah, a little, maybe, yeah. Yeah. So I made the decision to leave my job and to start a business as a vitality coach so that I could show other people how to take care of themselves psychologically, spiritually, socially, and physically, so that they could live an extraordinary life, essentially. So to come into alignment with their strengths and their values, to really know who they are, what their purpose is, and then live their life in alignment with that purpose. So I left my job and I started my business. And you know what can happen in that first year of business? By spring, my limiting beliefs were coming at me like a freight train. I had mindset dragons that were coming out of the closet from all over the place. And I was haunted by that business that went bankrupt, and I froze. So once again, I became overtaken by stress and fear. And I had I don't know, I think it lasted for 3 or 4 months where I just kind of went into inaction. Like I was still learning, but I wasn't taking steps forward in my business because there were certain things that I was afraid to do and afraid to step into. And one of the fears, one of the dragons that was coming at me was actually a fear of success. So what would happen if my business took off? How would my life change? How would my relationships change? So that one was one of the big ones for me. So that then sparked the next leg of my journey. And that was, I began to study neurolinguistics programming and the science of how our thoughts and our words shape our lives. So our thoughts, our words, our emotions all act together and create our behaviors. And some of those behaviors are empowering behaviors, but also some of those behaviors are disempowering behaviors. And they can have a very, very powerful impact on your business, either for the good or the worse. And so that's what we're going to be talking about today. So coming out of that, I already talked about what the turkey taught me. So coming out of the other end of that, having broken through a lot of the limiting beliefs that have been keeping me stuck in my business and keeping me from moving forward, from that experience, I had to let go of a lot of things that were no longer serving me. And I love the story of the phoenix, because to me, the phoenix is a perfect metaphor for taking your life to that next level, to recognizing that I am meant for something more. There is something more powerful out there. There is a life for me that is full of possibilities, and I am sick and tired of being sick and tired. So there's a letting go process where we shed some of those beliefs, we shed some of the relationships that have been holding us back. We make changes in our lives that allow for this new, empowered person to emerge. And so that is why my program is called Renew Your Vitality, because essentially vitality is your inner life force. It's that thing that drives you every day. It's connected to your authenticity, to knowing yourself, to loving yourself, and to essentially living your purpose. And so all of you as entrepreneurs, I'm sure, feel like your business is a reflection of the work that you want to be doing in your life and how you want to be showing up and serving others powerfully through your business, whatever your business is, whether you're selling a product, whether you're selling a service, whatever it might be. I would guess and hope that your business is a reflection of your purpose. And if it isn't, then that's when you begin to feel depleted, because when our life's work is not congruent with our strengths, our values, and our purpose, those are the things that deplete us. Those are the things that sap you of your energy, rob you of your happiness, and keep you stuck in those self-sabotaging behaviors that I talked about before. So is that resonating? If that resonates for you, if you are ready to be like the phoenix and to emerge in your business in a more powerful way, to be attracting abundance in your business, drop an I'm ready in the chat for me right now. So this is a really good example of one of my clients who actually was a retired small business owner. So she had, her life took a massive turn after 40 years. She found herself single and she had retired from her business and was really searching for her purpose and a renewed sense of purpose. And so Melissa came into the program and she went through my 5 steps. And when she came in, she was essentially living a very reclusive life and she was very fearful. So she was essentially trapped in her own mind, imagining worst case scenarios. So we're going to talk a little bit more about that in just a moment, but she had a lot of fear and it was keeping her from living her life. And she had some really inspirational goals. She wanted to travel the world independently. She wanted to meet somebody who would be her soulmate. And she wanted to find a volunteer position that would be a good fit for her so that she could feel like she was, you know, living her purpose. And so to do that, we had to discover and uncover her purpose. So she followed those 5 steps. She worked really hard in the program and she did completely transform her life. Even her physical health improved by doing these steps. So Melissa says this was the best investment she ever made. And she did go on. She, by the end of the program, she had booked a cruise, a singles cruise through Europe. And she went off to do this cruise all by herself. And she did come back and find 2 volunteer positions and really fell in love with her life. And she said she actually fell in love with her new life. It was like the life she felt she'd always meant to be living. So she attracted everything that she wanted by doing the work and by following these steps. So here is, let me just check the chat to see if people are with me here. Just takes a second to pop down. There it is. Aha, awesome. So we've got some I'm readies in the group. That's awesome. Excited for you. Okay, so here's what we're going to be covering in the class. So today we're going to be talking about how you can end the cycle of overwhelm and worry so that you can confidently face your day ahead and get stuff done. How many of you would confess to being a bit of a procrastinator? So I can confess to that. And certainly in my business, I tend to procrastinate the things that I don't enjoy doing, right? And so we're going to talk about how you can set inspired goals for yourself that will minimize the possibility of procrastination and propel you forward in the direction that you want to go. We're also going to talk about the keys to managing your emotions, avoiding self-sabotaging behaviors, bouncing back from challenges with intention and purpose. So that was a huge part for me in my journey, was looking back over the challenges that I had faced over my lifetime, essentially, and transforming those challenges into opportunities, like ways that I have learned and grown from those challenges have made me the business owner that is standing in front of you today. So that's really powerful work. So we're going to talk about that so that you can grow your business, because your business, everything in your life is a reflection of what is going on within you. So when you're in alignment, when you are living your life on purpose, when you are in alignment with your values, when you're in alignment with your strengths, that's when everything comes to you easily, because you know yourself, you know what you're offering, you're in service mode, you know your why, you know why you're doing what you're doing. So one of the things you could start with right after this masterclass is you could spend a little bit of time reflecting on, what is my why in my business? Like, why am I doing this? What am I wanting to bring forth to my clients, to the world, through my business? Because when you get really clear on your why, that's what will continue to drive you through, global pandemics like we're facing right now. It will also, if you're needing to pivot, and I'm getting so tired of the word pivot. My pivoter is getting sore. But if you need to pivot, your why will help guide you in the direction that you should be pivoting for maximum success for you. And finally, we're going to be talking a lot about emotions today and how you can design your life around the way you want to feel. So emotions are extremely powerful. They're part of your inner guidance system. So your emotions and your values are there to tell you if you are on track. So when you have that feeling in your stomach, whether it's a feeling of excitement, whether it's a feeling of dread, whether it's a feeling of sadness, hope, whatever it is, that emotion is there to send you a message. So it's like a compass that's there to point you in the direction that you need to go. And your values steer the ship. So your values are how you should be steering your life. So how many of you right now feel like you don't have enough time? That there isn't enough time to, I keep wanting you to raise your hands. You can tell that I'm still in like live workshop mode. So if you are feeling like you don't have enough time to do the things that you really want to do, then drop, let's see, what can we drop in there? No time. So just put a no time in the chat box. So we're going to be talking today about how you can bend time. You can create time. We have the power to do this. And when we get super clear on who we are, what we want, and what our purpose is, guess what happens? We stop saying yes to the things that drain our energy, that we're doing because we want to be liked, we want to fit in, we don't want to hurt other people's feelings. We stop saying yes to those things and start saying no. And then we start saying yes to the things that light us up, that put us into energy mode, that bring us happiness and bring us joy, because our energy is increased when we do this. And that is what brings you time. Saying no to the things that aren't serving you gives you the time that you need to say yes to more of the things that are going to serve you and going to serve your business. So like I said, our businesses are a reflection of what's going on within us. Our relationships are a reflection of what's going on with us. And money is also a reflection of what's going on within us. So who here would like more money? Drop a yes in the chat box. More money or mo money. Drop a mo money in the chat box if you would like to create mo money in your business right now today. So all of these things come to you when you are in this place of alignment. All right, so without any further ado, I'm going to introduce you to my 5 vital steps to transforming your life. Before I get into it, I just want to check my notes to make sure that I'm not forgetting anything. So are you ready to learn the 5 steps? If you're ready to learn the 5 steps, drop a yes in the chat box. I'm ready. So the very first step that I work with my clients around is creating a vision. What is your vision? What is your vision for your life? What is your vision for your business? What is the vision for your relationships and your health? So I encourage them to look at this through the lens of 3 contexts. So business, relationships, and health, because those are the 3 biggies, essentially. There are a few others as well, but those are the ones that I encourage them to start with. So vision is the first thing. Get clear on what you want. So that will also help you create time. So you stop procrastinating and wasting time on little piddly things that aren't moving the needle on your business, and you get super focused on this vision that you have for yourself and for your business that then inspires you into action mode. So you want to take action. We're going to talk more about that in just a minute. The second step is I create my reality. So this is recognizing that you have the power to create anything you want in your life. And I say this to you with 100% certainty because I have lived it myself. If it's possible for me, it's possible for you. How many of you know some really super successful entrepreneurs that are working in the same area that you're working in, selling similar products or selling similar services, and they're on fire right now, like they're hitting it out of the park? Anybody know somebody like that? I hope so, because those are the people that you want to be hanging around with. Because if it's possible for them, it's possible for you. And those are the people who are going to help you and empower you to take your business and your life to the next level. So I create my reality. Time and energy. So this is the area where we start to create time and energy for ourselves. This is where we really do some work on knowing and understanding ourselves, what lights us up, what values we have that should be our priorities in life, and how we're building out our vision. Your vision needs to be in alignment with your values, figuring out your powerful why. So reflecting on, okay, why am I doing this? And what do I want out of this? So we're going to talk about that and how you can create more time. Energy is how many of you would love to have more energy? Drop a yes. Say yes, energy in the chat. Absolutely. As entrepreneurs, we need energy. Yes, energy. Yes. So as entrepreneurs, see, I can't see your first name. So I'd love to shout you out by first name. So you might want to drop your first name. You probably did at the beginning when you introduced yourselves. Let's see who we have here. Is it Vibeke? Have I got that pronounced correctly? If I don't, please forgive me. And if you can give it to me phonetically in the chat, I will do better the next time. Vibeke? Vibeka. Oh, that's so much prettier. Vibeka. So we have Vibeka. We have John. Welcome, John, from Quinny Immigration. Oh, sleeplessness. Okay. All right. We'll talk a little bit about that. I'll make sure that I work that in there because I could have you sleeping like a baby. I'm just looking to see somebody introduce themselves as a family support worker, but what's your first name? So drop your first names in the chat for me so that I can see and call you out by name. So yeah, time and energy. So if you want more energy in your life, you have the power to create that too. And I'm going to share with you the steps around doing that. And then the A in vital stands for alchemizing your pain. So there's an expression out there. I can't remember who said it, but I've adopted it. And it is essentially, if you aren't transforming your pain, you're transmitting your pain. So we have all had experiences in life that have been painful and challenging. That's part of the human experience. And that's part of our unique journey. And if we never experienced pain or suffering or challenges, then life would actually be very, very, very dull. Because it's the pain and the suffering that create opportunities for massive growth. So if you think about the Chinese symbol for crisis, one of the symbols means danger and one of the symbols means opportunity. And when you are able to see the opportunities that have come from your painful experiences, massive growth occurs. You release trapped emotions that were keeping you stuck in the past, and it frees up again all kinds of energy for you so that you can move forward in a more powerful way. So we're going to talk about that. And actually I put an activity in here for you that you can take away with you that you can use just on daily challenges, or you could use it on bigger challenges. And if you're doing work around finding your why, as I recommended earlier in the workshop, if you decide to do a little bit of work around figuring out your why for your business, you can use these 7 steps to do that as well. And then finally, love and appreciation. So many times we get stuck in our own heads. And we spend most of our lives there thinking, ruminating, analyzing, worrying, and what I call it disconnecting from the neck down. And ultimately, if you want massive success in any area of your life, you have to open your heart. You have to reconnect to your heart space. Because when you are operating from a place of love and a place of gratitude, again, emotions are like little units of energy. Well, they're not like, they are little units of energy. Thoughts and emotions are little units of energy. And so how many of you have ever felt really sad about something or been in a completely disempowered state? Has anybody ever felt disempowered or sad? I hope so, because that means you're living life. You're engaged with life, right? But what happens is when we stay in that place, our body language changes. We tend to be more rounded shouldered. You know, we look down, or we want to escape into vices that don't serve us, because we don't want to feel that discomfort of actually letting that emotion pass through us. So we'll try to disconnect. But what happens is we're still carrying that emotion energetically. And other people, when they come into contact with us, can sense that. So how many of you have ever been in a room, maybe you're in a meeting, or maybe you're with your staff or your employees, and you notice somebody is just like in a completely disempowered state? Like everything they're doing is communicating something to you that's coming from a disempowered place. So maybe you're sensing from them through their body language that they're really angry, or maybe you're sensing from them that they're really sad. So sometimes you're reading that through their physical cues. Has anybody ever been able to tell when somebody else is feeling a disempowered emotion? I would think so. And oftentimes we can just feel it. Like we can feel the energy when we come in the room. So you could walk into the room and go, oh, something's off, but you don't even really know what it is. And then when you sit down and you start to look around the room, you take in the cues around who is not in alignment, like who is struggling with something. And that has the power to throw that entire group off, unless you're consciously aware of what's happening and you can do something to try to, elevate the mood in the group. Because if you can elevate the mood of the rest of the group, the energy is going to increase. And the person who's in a disempowered state, their energy is going to improve as well. So love and appreciation, when you are in that place energetically, you are so open to possibilities. You are so open to new relationships. This is when mentors will show up for you out of the blue. This is when the person who has the connection that you need to grow your business is going to notice you, because they are operating on the same level. And so love and appreciation, I believe, is one of the keys for entrepreneurs and small business owners, because we can spend most of our time in our heads, critical thinking, problem solving, going through the motions like the hamster on the wheel every day, and not taking time to slow down and to really notice what we have in our lives that we need to be recognizing, appreciating, and loving. So we're going to talk more about that. I could do a whole workshop just on your heart space and how powerful it is, and how you can access it through love and appreciation. Okay, so who's ready to dig in? Who's ready to actually experience some of this stuff? If you're ready, drop "I'm ready" in the chat. So the first step is, like I said, around creating a powerful vision. So how many of you have a really clear vision for your business? Let's talk business. So otherwise, So let's keep it tight to business. So how many of you have a really clear vision for what it is that you want in your business? And it should be a vision that's pretty detailed. You know what direction you want to go. You know what revenue you want to be bringing in. You know how it's going to feel when you get there. How many of you have a powerful vision? If you have a vision, drop "I have a vision" in the chat. If you have a powerful vision, that's awesome. You are well on your way. And I'm going to give you a couple of strategies that you can use that are going to deepen your experience with that vision and bringing that vision into reality. So why is it important to have a vision? Well, when you have a vision, you have the power to see possibilities. So there are possibilities that are all around us, that are everywhere. Every day we encounter all kinds of possibilities, unlimited possibilities. But what can happen is that if you aren't clear on what you want, first of all, and then what your life will be like when you have it, those possibilities could be staring you right in the face. They could be coming at you and you won't even see them because you aren't clear on what it is that you want. You aren't clear on what it is that you hope to achieve. And you're not vibrating energy, like you're not giving off energy that is expansive energy. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit more about what I mean by that. So have you, as business owners, have you ever heard the expression like 20% of the population drive, like 20% of the population drive the results of community, society, and so on. So 20% of the population will be super successful in business, will hit it out of the park, will do extremely amazing things in their business because they are like so driven and so unstoppable. Has anybody ever heard that before? If you've heard that before, just drop a yes in the chat. Yes, I'm ready. So the other way of looking at that is there's actually a statistic out there that shows that 80% of the population, so I'm flipping this around now, 80% of the population live their lives in an unconscious way. So they live their lives in survival mode, essentially. It's some, like Michael Bernard Beckwith. I don't know if any of you follow Michael Bernard Beckwith. He's like a spiritual leader, but he talks about, he calls this victim consciousness. So if you think about every victim has a story of what happened to them. And 80% of our population around the world lives their life in victim consciousness. They live their life focused on their stories, about their problems, about their challenges, about what is keeping them from, having the things that they want, living the lives that they would like to live. So an example of this is, have you ever, let's say you're meeting with friends, you have a planned night out with friends. How many of you have ever experienced where you hook up with your friends and all you do is sit around and talk about your problems and maybe drink some wine or beer? Has anybody ever had that experience? So what happens is, this is like a societal norm where we all are very comfortable. 80% of the population spends most of their energy talking about problems and sharing their problems with each other. And what happens is you share your problem, and then one of your friends says, you think you have a problem? Well, let me tell you my problem. So then they share their problem, then somebody else shares their problem. So now we are all talking about and focused on problems. And when we talk about our problems, our energy goes down and it takes us into a disempowered state. So as you're hearing your friends sharing their problems, maybe you're starting to get angry. Maybe you're starting to feel that like sense of indignation. Maybe one of them has been wronged in some way and you're getting fired up and it isn't even your experience. But because you are connected to your friend energetically and emotionally, you're taking on their problems. So this is a real thing. And when this happens, some of these emotions collect in our bodies, get trapped in our bodies, bring our energy down. And then that's all we can see is more problems. We continue to look for more problems. So if you're fortunate, something will happen in your life. And this is what I love about business and entrepreneurs, because we have lots of things coming at us every single day, lots of different challenges and so on. And so there are always opportunities to shift that energy. So something like a global pandemic may come along that is a crisis for some, a challenge for others. And you go into, maybe you went into a bit of reaction mode at the beginning and you started to feel disempowered. But then you got sick and tired of feeling sick and tired. That's my hope. And if you haven't got sick and tired of feeling sick and tired, then hopefully this workshop is going to move you to that place. Because when you recognize that you want something more for yourself, like you look around and you're like, okay, well, my neighbors are all complaining, my coworkers are all unhappy, or my staff is unhappy, or everybody's unhappy, my family's unhappy. So this is normal. This is what we all do as humans. When you get sick and tired of that, then you become motivated. You start to think about, okay, you know what? I don't want to feel this way anymore. Like, I want to be happier. I want to have more energy. I want to grow my business. I want success. I want wealth. I want abundance in my life. So then you begin to see that there's something else that's possible for you. And that's when you move into that 20%, which is the 20% that hit it out of the park, the 20% that stay on track with their vision and bring that vision into reality, whatever that might be for their business. So is everybody with me on that? If you're with me, just drop an I'm with you. I'm noticing I'm getting a lot of yeses because that's what I'm asking for. And then when I go back to the chat, I can't tell what you said yes to. So if you're with me and you're ready to see the possibilities, then just drop an I'm ready. Vibika is with me. John is with me. Awesome, awesome. Okay. So right now, I'm going to give you an opportunity to experience this on an emotional level and on a more cellular level. So I've been doing a lot of talking, and I want you, so that's going into your head, into your conscious mind. I want to give you an opportunity to integrate some of this on a more cellular level and within your heart space. So what I'm going to ask you to do, first of all, is I want you to write down this question. So hopefully you have a pen and paper handy. And I want you to write down this question. So write down, if all my needs were met. So if all my needs were met, what would I love to have? Now you can keep this broad, in a broad context, like in the sense of what do I want to have in my life? Or you could keep it really tight to your business. So if all my needs were met, what do I want to have in my life? So for this exercise to work for you, your conscious mind, we haven't talked about the conscious and the subconscious yet, but it's coming, this chat. So your conscious mind is like the guardian at the gate. It's like the gatekeeper that's there to kind of keep you safe, to keep you safe. And so your conscious mind, when you start to do this kind of an activity, may start to chime in and go, oh, that'll never happen. Or it may chime in to say, you don't have the money for that or the resources for that. So don't go there, or you don't deserve that, or whatever. So that's why the first part of the question is so important. If all my needs were met, so money, time, health, nothing is a barrier to you. All your needs are met. What would I want to have? So some people may want more energy. Some people may want more focus. Some people may want more money, more wealth, better health, better relationships with partners, siblings, children, more abundance, confidence, happiness. What do I want? And it's okay to also want things. So I'm going to take you into this activity, and I want you to just let your mind be open. So we're going to be going into your subconscious here, passing the guardian at the gate, and getting really clear on, okay, what do I want? So what I'm going to get you to do is I want you to sit up nice and straight in your chair. And I want your feet flat on the floor, so not crossed. Your arms aren't crossed either, so that your body is in an open stance. So sitting in your chair, feet on the floor, hands just resting in your lap, maybe on one on each knee, not folded together, but just open. And your shoulders are back, so your chest is nice and open. And in a moment, not just yet, I'm going to ask you to do this. I want you to take in a really deep breath through your nose. You're going to fill your lungs. You're going to fill your belly with air. And then once you've reached capacity, hold on to it for just a moment. And then I want you to release the air through your lips as if you were blowing out through a straw. So this is going to allow for a really slow release of the oxygen that you've just taken in to fill your body. This activity is going to soothe your autonomic nervous system. It's going to open up neural pathways in your brain, and it's going to make this a more powerful exercise for you. So, are you ready? Your feet are uncrossed, your hands are in your lap, your chest is back and open. Okay, so I'm going to get you to take 3 deep rejuvenating breaths when I say go. And when you're done with your 3 breaths, I'm going to take you into a visualization. So just sit there and keep your eyes closed, return to normal breathing, and then I will start the visualization. But keep your eyes closed and just stay in that place of openness. Okay, so go ahead now and take 3 deep rejuvenating breaths. So you're going in through your nose, you're filling your chest, your belly with air, and then you're breathing out slowly as if you're breathing through a straw. And when you're ready, take another deep breath. And then when you're ready, take another deep breath. Okay. And now what I want you to do is I want you to ask yourself that question with your eyes closed in this totally relaxed state. Ask yourself the question, if all my needs were met, what do I want to have? And images are going to start to come to you. If all my needs were met, what do I want to have? What do I want to have in my business right now and in the future? If all my needs were met, what do I want to have? And when you're ready, open your eyes and write down the 3 things that you want the most out of the things that came to you. What are those 3 things that you want? And when you've got your 3 things, I'm going to get you to tell me that in the chat. So just say, I've got 3 things in the chat. Oops. If all my needs were met, okay. Vibika is ready, got them. John's got them. Brianna's got them. Awesome, okay. Who am I missing? Okay, now, if it's okay with you, since we're comfortable with each other now, I'd love it if you would turn on your video cameras so that I can see, you. That's great. Thank you, Brianna. I know this requires a little bit of bravery, and don't worry if you are, feeling in disarray. Nobody's judging you. This is a non-judgmental space. It's totally open. Totally open. There's John. Okay, I'm gonna unmute Oh, Brianna, could you, oh, never mind. She just went away. I was going to get Vibeke to tell me her name so that I don't continue to butcher her name through this, this workshop. Can you unmute her so I can hear her say her name?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
It's Vibeke.
Vibeke. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Wonderful. Wonderful. Thank you so much. All right. Vibeke. Got it. Okay. So you just had a moment to do that activity. How did it feel doing that activity? And I'll maybe unmute everyone, Brianna, for now. It felt good? Thumbs up. How did it feel doing that activity? Thumbs up, good? Yeah. So this is something that you've just done on the spot. If you start to use the power of your vision, you will become very, very powerful with this, and you will begin to manifest the things that you envision. So I don't know if any of you follow Bob Proctor or any of you have done any studying around the power of your subconscious mind. Your subconscious mind is 30,000 times more powerful than your conscious mind. And most of us spend all of our time in our conscious minds, accessing our thinking mind. And in your conscious mind, that's also like the function of the conscious mind is to keep you safe. And so it's going to be the part of you that's saying, I don't know if you should do that. That's too risky. I don't know. So your subconscious is where your true purpose lies. It's where your values, emotions, all of those things are in your subconscious. And as well, your subconscious mind, the first function of the subconscious mind is to run and preserve your body. So your subconscious mind operates your nervous systems, your organs, everything, essentially. And so that's why emotions and your thoughts and your emotions are so incredibly powerful, because if you can harness the power, or even some of the power of your subconscious mind, it will help you to break through those conscious beliefs that you have that are keeping you stuck from getting to where you want to go, getting to that next level in your business. So unlocking your ability to visualize is hugely powerful, because if you can see it in your mind, if you can visualize it, then you can hold it in your hands. You can bring it into reality. But the power of vision creates emotion. Empowering emotion creates action. So this leads into the next key here around setting towards and away from goals. So how many of you have set goals for yourself and in your business? Yeah. How many of you set goals in your, this is so much better, getting to see people's hands. Thank you for turning on your mics. I should have asked people to do that right from the get-go. So how many of you have set goals for your health? Okay. How many of you, every time you set a goal, you hit it out of the park, you race towards that goal, you achieve every goal, and like, you really shouldn't be on this workshop because your life is just like perfect just as it is. Okay. What tends to happen, and I touched on this at the beginning, is when we set goals, we tend to do it in an away from manner. And this contributes to that roller coaster of self-sabotage that I was talking about at the beginning of the workshop. So when you set an away from goal, you're focusing on what you don't want. So an example of this, during global pandemic as business owners, maybe you could drop something into the chat. It doesn't have to be specific to you, but what do you think would be a good example of an away from goal as a business owner? I'll throw the first one out there. It could be, I don't want to go bankrupt, so I better get my butt in gear with my business. I don't want to go broke. I don't want to lose my business. What are some other ones that you or someone you know may be struggling with in terms of what they don't want that could be driving a goal that they're setting for themselves? I don't know if you're unmuted. You could also just say them out loud. Since it's such a small group, I think we can probably just say them. And then if somebody has background noise happening, then you can just mute yourself. How about that? Would that be okay, Brianna?
For sure. If you just want to unmute to talk, guys, just unmute and then just remute yourself just in case there's the background feed. That's all.
Perfect. So you now have the power to mute and unmute yourselves. So can you think of an example of an away from goal that maybe not related to your business, even maybe related to your health? So it could be, I don't want to be sick, so I'm going to eat healthy food. Or I don't want to be overweight, so I'm going to eat healthy food. Anybody have an example of an away from goal that they've maybe focused on?
I'll start.
Okay, thanks, Brianna.
I was last couple of years, I have been trying to train for a half marathon. The first time my whole life kind of went up in shambles. It's been a month away. Last year, I guess this year, I started running just because I show horses in the summer, and then I run in the winter to keep myself active. And when we started the run, all was great. And then the global pandemic happened, and I never got to run my half marathon. I was about 4K away from hitting the half marathon for my practice runs. So maybe 2021, I get to run my half marathon.
Okay. So what was the away from part? So was there some, like, what was it that you wanted to move away from when you made up your mind to do this half marathon?
Well, the first was I really enjoyed running, and that's kind of how it all started. And then I was getting up to like 10K or so. And then there was a free course that Try and Run Sports put on. Mm-hmm. And I started running with them. It was a great group of people. They were very considerate. I knew nobody, and it was my first time ever actually running. It was a great supportive group. Yeah, so it kind of
that you know what, that's actually a beautiful example of a towards goal. So this is the difference. When you set a goal and it's coming from a place of wanting to move away from something. So this is what happened to me when I made the decision to leave my job. Even though I had this idea and this goal of starting my own business and growing my own business, it was also partly an away from goal, because I wanted to get away from the environment that was crushing my soul and making me so miserable and sick. So there was part of it that was an away from goal. And that also contributed to some of the mindset issues that I started to encounter as an entrepreneur, because I hadn't yet figured out my inspired vision for my business. So a towards goal. So what happens is if you set an away from goal, this is really important. I almost forgot to share it with you. If you set an away from goal, what you're focusing on is what you don't want anymore. And when we focus our attention on anything, that is what we're going to bring to us. That is what we are going to create for ourselves. And there's all kinds of neuroscience that supports this. And so when you set an away from goal, you're focusing on what you don't want. So for me, it was, I don't want kidney stones anymore. I don't want to be unhappy anymore. I don't want to dread getting out of bed anymore. I don't want to feel like I'm dragging this lead cloak around with me every day of negative emotion, right? I don't want that anymore. So I'm going to leave my job and I'm going to set up my business. But that away from goal kept playing in my mind. And guess what showed up for me? All those old behaviors that contributed to me being in that state. Even kidney stones made a reappearance. So it's so important that we set towards goals. Now that I figured this out, I take on my day. I start every day with visualization. So I visualize my day ahead. What do I want to get out of this? Who do I want to be? What do I need to do? What do I want to have out of this day? And I visualize it. And that puts me in a place of clarity so that I can move with inspiration towards those goals that I've set for myself for the day. You can also do this on a larger scale and set goals for yourself quarterly for your business, annually for your business. I don't recommend that you go too far out. It used to be everybody said, oh, have a 5-year plan, but now we need to be pivoting on a dime. So right now, I would say if you're setting goals for yourself in your business, that I would probably do them no more than 3 months out and keep building on them as you achieve them. So a towards goal is something that's going to create excitement in you, something that's going to bring you into a place of empowerment. So what Brianna was describing in running this marathon, she set this is a perfect example actually of how you take something that's in your head and you bring it into reality, right? So she had this, she knew she liked to run. She decided to set a goal for herself. She had an inspired vision. She connected with a group of mentors who supported her through the journey, and she was ready to go. Unfortunately, COVID hit. But she's going to do that. I believe that, Brianna, you will run this marathon because it's an inspired vision. And that's what you want for your business, Brianna.
Half marathon. Full marathon is over 40K. I want to do half marathon.
You're going to start with the half marathon, and who knows where you may go after that.
Well, maybe, but let's just stick to the half first.
That's the power of having a vision. So do you see the difference? So when you set an away from goal, you're focusing on what you don't want, and what will show up for you is what you are focusing your attention on, which is, I think, in the next slide. So I've jumped ahead a little bit, but you want to be setting inspired goals for yourself. You want to be getting clear, what do I want? Moving yourself in that direction and picturing the ideal outcome. So part of your vision should be, how am I going to feel when I do this, when this happens? How will my life be different? What will I have as a result of this? That's going to get your juices flowing. That's going to get you all like excited and empowered and keep you going. And that's why I recommend to my clients that they do this. Well, I don't recommend it. This is part of the program. They do certain practices every morning and every night that put them into that place. So they have rituals that they do that allow them to tap into the power of their subconscious mind and break through the beliefs that are keeping them stuck in the past and self-sabotaging. So I talked about, if you can see it in your mind, you can hold in your hand. I jumped ahead of that one. So this, if you don't, so don't take my word for this, because athletes, special forces in the military, the Navy, they all use this method in their training. In the military, they use this around special missions that they're doing. They have their soldiers visualize what the outcome is. So as a group, we have a collective goal. This is what we want to achieve. And then they take them through mental rehearsal around what it will be like when they achieve that goal. And the reason that we do this is because it's priming the pump in your autonomic nervous system so that you're actually creating what is called a future memory. So how many of you have memories that come to you, and some of them aren't great memories, and they come to you at random times, and sometimes they throw you right off course. You know, sometimes they're memories and you spend time beating yourself up over them and so on. Those past memories contribute to those behavior patterns that I was talking about, where then we may get into self-sabotage. So when you're priming the pump and you're creating future memories, which we have the power to do, what we're doing is we are priming our nervous system with a memory, because your brain doesn't know whether this is happening in reality or not. So that's the other cool thing. If you love to travel like me and you can't go to Mexico, get online. Start to look at pictures of places that you want to go, watch videos on YouTube, and you're going to notice that you feel a little bit better, right? Now, I'm not going to lie, like nothing beats lying on a white sandy beach with a lovely margarita in your hand. But you can imagine this and you can experience some of the emotions that come with that, or all of the emotions that come with that when you get really good at it. And what you're doing is you're creating future memories. So when you do this with your day, it's really important to do this around the yucky things that you don't really enjoy. Like, we're going to talk about this in the next slide, becoming intentional. So you want to visualize yourself doing those things with success. And what you're doing is you are priming your system, your brain and your body to know what to do in these situations that can sometimes come up that are a bit challenging for us. So here's an example. If there's any tennis fans in the group, Bianca Andreescu was the first Canadian to win the Grand Slam tournament. She defeated Serena Williams. And if you watch this match, which my husband and I did because he is an avid tennis fan, they asked her after her win how she managed to stay so focused when the crowd was clearly cheering for Serena. So the crowd was chanting Serena's name. They were booing Bianca. And yet she stayed the course, stayed focused, and achieved her goal. And when they interviewed her, she said, for it to become reality is so crazy. I guess these visualizations really, really work. And so her coach knew how to help her tap into her subconscious and create future memories so that when she got onto that court, he had her going into like each, you can tell I'm not a tennis fan. I want to say each swing, but that would be a bat probably, but each stroke, you know, he had her going in there in a very granular way so that she was priming the pump. So when she was in the moment, that was just, you know, felt like it was natural for her. So that's the power of creating future memories. There's so much more we could talk about just related to each one of these steps. I'm going to try to keep it tight because I want to honor your time. How are we doing for time? Okay, we're supposed to be done in 15 minutes and I still have 3 more steps. So I'll try to speed it along here for you. Okay, so creating your own reality. So this is the power of transforming your life. So this is getting out of victim consciousness and really stepping into what is possible for you. So essentially, as we've already talked about, this is when you go into this place of manifestation. So you start with your vision, you get clear on what you want, you start to prime the pump, and then you begin to take action. And in this step, there are a couple of things that you want to be very attuned to. First of all, you want to understand your own map of the world. So this is like trying to fit an ocean into a teacup. Maybe this whole workshop is trying to fit the ocean into a teacup. But understanding your map of the world is made up of your life experiences, your values, learned behaviors, things you've learned from your parents, things you've learned from society, all of it. And that creates your perception of reality. And we could get into a whole esoteric conversation around like, there actually is no reality. There's only like our perception, each of our individual perception of reality. So you want to be aware of what your map of the world is and how that's contributing to your success. And part of your map of the world are those limiting beliefs that I talked about. So before the age of 9, 12, between 9 and 12, your conscious mind is formed. That's the gatekeeper that starts to filter through information and say, oh, that's not true, or, oh, you may want to look into that, or I don't know if you should do that. Before that age, your subconscious mind is wide open and you are just absorbing everything. So messages, other people's behaviors, their reactions to you, all gets downloaded into your brain and becomes programs that you run on. And when you get older, they just run in the background. You don't even know they're there, but they come up in the form of these limiting beliefs. So if there's overachievers or perfectionists in the group, that's connected to some kind of a limiting belief. Now, we would never want to totally remove your achieving nature and your desire to produce high quality work, but there's no such thing as perfect. We know this, right? And overachievers are very often dissatisfied a lot of the time because they don't take time to appreciate what they've achieved. They're looking for the next thing. And oftentimes that's driven by a need to be accepted, to receive external validation from others, and so on. So understanding your map of the world, what is contributing to my self-sabotaging behaviors, what's contributing to my unhappiness, my stress, and so on. The second step is to understand, and this is something I get super excited about. So this is all connected to neurolinguistics programming, which is all about the neuroplasticity of your brain. We create as we speak. So the words that we speak, the thoughts that we form, they shape our reality. So if you are, like I gave in that example earlier, always talking about your problems, guess what's going to show up? Can anybody guess? Just unmute yourself and say it out loud or drop it in the chat. If you're constantly talking about your problems, what's going to show up? Oh, somebody put it in the chat. Let's see. More problems. Yes, exactly. So you want to be really careful. The reason that that happens is that when we talk about our problems, it creates those emotions, and our thoughts plus our emotions create our action. and our behavior. So you want to be really, really mindful of the words that you're speaking. And this connects to the power of I am. So if you make a mistake and you say things to yourself like, I am so stupid, I can't believe I did that. Or if you say, you know, I am so irresponsible, I should have done this, I should have done that. What you're doing is you're queuing up your brain to bring you more evidence of why that's true. You're putting it out there and you're focusing on that. And so what's going to show up is evidence of exactly, again, what you don't want. So to use words that are empowering for you in conversations with other people, to use words that make you feel good, make you feel confident, is incredibly powerful. Now, we have memorized patterns and ways that we talk. So this requires some effort, and it may also require some clearing of these limiting beliefs that keep us stuck. And so the work that I do with my clients is around clearing those programs that are running in the background and keep showing up in the words that they're speaking, in the thoughts that they're thinking, and in the actions that they're taking, so that they can create space for a life that they can get really excited about and a business that they get really excited about. So the power of I am, creating as you speak, and then what you focus on expands. So you may want to write down these 3 questions, because these 3 questions are very powerful. So I've talked about what you focus on expands already. So here are 3 questions that you can use to check in with yourself around, okay, what am I thinking right now? And then what emotion is that creating? And what behavior is that creating? So are you focusing on what is present in your life and what you have in your life? Or are you focusing on what's missing? So first question, am I focusing on what I have and what's present? Or am I focusing on what's missing? So as I said, overachievers and perfectionists focus on what's missing, or they focus on the next thing. They don't ground themselves in the present moment. They're always looking for what's missing. When you focus on what you have, that opens up the pathways to gratitude and appreciation, which puts you into an empowered state. When you're focusing on what's missing all the time, that's so disempowering, right? Because it creates those emotions of dissatisfaction, dis-ease, unhappiness, frustration, resentment, all of those things. So when you focus on what's present, shift that thought in that moment. Okay, I'm focusing on what's missing right now, and I've really gone into a downward spiral around negativity and criticism and so on. What do I have to be grateful for right now? What are the things in this situation that I have to be grateful for? What are the things around me that I have to be grateful for? And when you make that shift and you start to shift your focus, your mood elevates, you feel empowered again, and you can continue to move forward. So gratitude and appreciation, by the way, eliminates fear and anger. So you can't have both happening in your body at the same time. Gratitude, appreciation, and love are the highest vibration energies. And if you are in that space, then they crowd out those other disempowering emotions. The second question is, do you focus on what you can control or what you can't control? Do you focus on what you can control or do you focus on what you can't control? Hugely powerful. So my 21 years working in the school system, going into those provincial committees, working with the Ministry of Education, I did all of that because I was trying to control things that were way outside my sphere of influence. Well, not outside my sphere of influence, but outside my control. So I was trying to create an environment in my workplace that felt in alignment with who I was and my values and the values of my colleagues and so on. And I was trying to essentially control my environment, which I could not control. So are you focusing on things that are within your control? And let me tell you, if you don't know this already, like, you are the only thing you can control. There's no such thing as control. Control is an illusion, So with respect to controlling other people and external circumstances, you can show up powerfully. You can make a choice to show up powerfully in your life, and you can influence people. But that ultimately, the only thing you have control over is you, which goes to the whole, I create my reality. And when you step into that belief, like, I am creating everything that's happening to me right now, every moment of every day, I'm creating it. Suddenly you feel empowered. At first I was like, no, I'm not. Scarcity of resources, the government, my boss, community partners, like, that's what's contributing to all of this. And no, I was creating my reality by what I was focusing on, where I was placing my energy and my attention, how I was reacting to things, and so on. So it's incredibly powerful to recognize that you create your own reality and you can change things. And then the third question is, do you focus on the past, the present, or the future? Do you focus on the past, the present, or the future? And the goal here is to be in the present moment as much as possible, or creating future memories. If you're living in the future because you're worrying or you're anxious, that's disempowering. That creates disempowering state. So some people say, well, you should always live in the present. I would say you want to live in the present or in your future memories. So creating that inspired future for yourself and working towards that. So this is Leanne. I don't know, some of you might know Leanne. Leanne is a local entrepreneur, and she came into my program because she wanted to create more peace in her life, because she felt like in similarity to me with that whole overachieving personality, she was feeling like she's creating a lot of chaos around her, and it was disconnecting her from her family and from her health and so on. So she came in, she followed the 5 steps, she did her rituals, she did the work, and she was able to create a shift in her life and open up more space for the things that light her up. And she let go of a lot of the things she was doing that were not in alignment with who she wanted to be and the life that she wanted to be living for herself. So she describes her life as becoming much more focused and much more peaceful. So time and energy, I've talked a lot about this already just at the beginning, but if you want to bend time, if you want to create more time for yourself, you need to become super intentional about what you're doing. So you want to have that vision, get clear on what it is that you want, and then you want to live with intention. So you don't want to be that cork on the ocean that's just kind of going every which direction. You want to be very purposeful every day in the intentions that you're setting for yourself for the day. So if you are someone who has a to-do list, you get up and you make a to-do list and you're checking boxes, I would encourage you to switch from a to-do list, which oftentimes we don't check every box and then we feel defeated and we should all over ourselves. I should have done this, I should have done that. So instead, I recommend that you create some intentions for yourself. And you can do this in the morning before you even get out of bed. You can do your vision for the day, a visualization, and you can set your intentions, and you can frame your intentions around these 3 questions. So who do I want to be today? If you want to be an inspiring leader in your business for your employees, what would that look like? How would you have to show up that day? Maybe you would have to show up with humor, with courage, with kindness, whatever it might be. Who do I want to be today? And then what do I need to do? So what do I need to do in order to be that business person or leader that I want to be? And then what do I want to have as a result? So if you go through these things and you're being the person that you want to be and you're doing what you need to do, then the things that you want to have will come to you. So then you're going to visualize that. So you're going to visualize yourself going through your day, doing those things that you've set out for yourself. And guess what? That to-do list is just going to fall into line with your natural priorities and your order of the day. Also know what you're valuing. This is a whole workshop all onto its own. And this is part of the really powerful work that I do with my clients, because oftentimes we think that we're valuing one thing, when really there's something else that we're valuing more. So I like to take the example of somebody who makes up their mind that they're going on a diet, and they may decide they're going on a diet because they don't want to be overweight. So it's an away from goal right out of the gate. And they're super motivated at the beginning, and then they go out for lunch, they order a cheeseburger and fries, and everything falls apart. There's something that they're valuing in that moment more than they're valuing losing weight. And it could be they're valuing comfort from the cheeseburger. It could be they're valuing, like, it could be connected to any number of limiting beliefs that are contributing to that self-sabotage. But you want to get clear on what you're valuing. And to do that, you need to know what your core values are. And then you need to know when you're not acting in alignment with those core values and what's keeping you from doing that. So that's an awareness thing. And when you do that, you're able to say no to people. You're able to say no to opportunities that maybe aren't opportunities for you, but they maybe, you're like, oh, I should do this because they asked, but it isn't something that's in alignment with who you are and what you value, but you say yes anyway. So those are the things that drain your time, drain your energy. When you get clear and you become intentional about everything you do, you will have so much more time. So you always want to ask yourself, to get clear, you always want to ask yourself, why? Like, why do I want to, why would I do this? Or what do I want? So if you're contemplating being invited to chair a committee, right? Okay, first of all, is this committee in alignment with my values? Are the people in the group in alignment with my values and my sense of direction? And then what do I want to get from this? What do I want to give to this? And then make a decision, but be intentional. It's setting intentions. That could be a whole workshop all onto its own. This is another client that I worked with who was an educational assistant at the time, and she's since started a business. And she was always saying yes when she really wanted to say no. And so she had a lot of breakthroughs in the program around honoring herself and getting super clear. What am I valuing? How can I be more intentional? And is this decision, like, if I say yes, is this in alignment? And so she talks about in her testimonial how she actually started to feel really good when she would say no, and it felt like she was honoring herself. So she became very empowered through that process. 5 keys to igniting your energy. So this is all based on strengths work, which is something I get super, super excited about. If you know your strengths, and I have a gift for you, if you, at the end, if you give your email address to Brianna, she's going to send out an email to all of you. In one of my welcome emails, you will get a link to the VIA website where you can do a strengths assessment on yourself. And you will be able to see what your top 5 signature strengths are, what I like to call your superpowers, as well as we're a combination of all 24 strengths. So you'll also get to see what your lower strengths are. And the power of this is that when you are operating from those strengths, your core strengths or your signature strengths, you feel in alignment with what you're doing. And it creates energy, and it will put you into a state of flow. So if you haven't heard of flow before, flow is a state that you go into where, if any of you have a hobby and you've ever lost time, like track of time while you're engaged in doing something that you love, you maybe forgot to eat, you lost track of time, you're like, holy smokes. And then when you're done, you feel energized, that's flow. So flow happens when you're engaged in an activity that challenges you, but it also engages those top strengths. And we want to create more flow in our lives because flow contributes to energy and to happiness. One of the things we do as entrepreneurs, we give up our hobbies. We work all the time and we stop doing things. Like, now, if you're fortunate, like I am right now, in my business, a lot of the aspects of my business put me into flow, which is awesome. But I also still have to create flow in other areas outside of my business. So it's going back to hobbies that light me up, right? Because when you're in a creative, like, well, I'm always in a creative space, but when you're doing hobbies, it's fulfilling another need for you around your, it could be your social well-being, it could be your spiritual well-being, psychological, and so on. So flow, always looking for opportunities to create more flow. I'm not going to get into talking about your negativity bias because that's a little complicated, but it's connected to neuroplasticity of the brain. In a nutshell, we're geared towards negativity. So that whole 80% of the population that I was talking about, they have a negativity bias that comes from the ancient part of our brain, our Frankenstein brain, which I'm actually putting a social media post out about on Friday. So it comes from the ancient part of your brain, designed to keep you safe. And the idea here is we want to reprogram that negativity bias. And we can do that through looking for strengths in ourselves, looking for strengths in others, and then activating the strengths that are not your top strengths when you need them, being consciously aware, maybe I need more self-regulation right now. So drawing that up to get you through a challenging circumstance. And so this is Laura, who also worked in the education system and is now an entrepreneur, still working in the education system, but both. And so she did a lot of work around strengths, and she also applied them wholeheartedly to her family and just saw massive transformations there in terms of her relationship with her spouse and how they viewed their relationships with their kids and seeing their kids as little unique individuals, and watching her transformation was super exciting. And step number 4 is transforming your challenges into opportunities. I do apologize because I think I'm probably at the 11:30 mark. So if you have to hop off, Brianna will send you a replay so you can catch the end. But if you have the time to stay with me, I do have a gift that I'm going to offer you at the end. And if you sign up for my email, you'll get the gift through the emails as well. So alchemy is the 4th step, and it's the power to transform your challenges into opportunities. So I talked about this at the beginning. If you're not transforming your pain, you're transmitting it. So it's really important that when you are experiencing a challenge and when you've come out the other side, so first you want to process the emotions, and the activity that I'm going to share with you in just a moment will give you the steps to do that, to help you process what's happened, to release emotions, and to look for how it changed you for the better. Because even when we go through painful experiences, if we do this work around how we assign meaning to what happened to us, if we look for the meaning in terms of how have I grown, what did I learn, what strengths did I tap into, when we attach a new meaning to what am I meant to do because this happened. Sometimes a crisis can create a really powerful why for you in your business. It did for me. So being able to transform challenges and painful experiences into opportunities is hugely powerful for entrepreneurs, especially because we are what's the word I'm looking for here? Like we work so hard in our businesses and we don't have sick leaves and we don't have, a lot of time and space to grieve, to mourn. If you can move through a challenging experience and see how it's contributing to who you are and how you lead your business and gifts that you have now to give to others, then that moves you through the process a little bit quicker. So again, knowing your powerful why, and then sometimes you need to create a new vision. So COVID maybe created a crisis for you in your business. I hope it did not, with all sincerity, but there are some business owners out there where it did. Hopefully it created some challenges for you, not a crisis. But in any case, whatever is happening right now, it may be time to create a new vision. And that new vision, like the phoenix, can emerge from the challenges that you've just experienced and moved through, or even challenges from the past. So you can go ahead and take a screenshot of this. I have a screenshot that I can send to Brianna so she can maybe attach it to the email if you're okay with that, Brianna. And so this is something that you can do just with a pen and a journal. And you're going to write about a challenging event. Now, when you start to do this, I recommend you start with a challenge, not a trauma. This will work for trauma as well, but start practicing on smaller challenges and then follow these steps. Reflect on these things. The first step is writing out the challenge, kind of like a story. So write it out with a beginning, middle, and end. And then reflecting on how did that experience change you? What did it teach you? How did it equip you to meet similar challenges in the future? What strengths showed up for you and did you use to overcome the obstacle? And then how do you feel that this experience helped you grow as a person? And then what's the new vision for yourself? So you just go through this process, writing it out. Writing is interesting because it's kinesthetic. Like, you can do this in your head, but I really recommend that you write, because when you write, the motion of the pen and the paper just seems to like get things flowing. So that's an activity that you can try, and then you can work your way up to more challenging experiences. So here's another entrepreneur who did a lot of work around transforming some past painful experiences and freeing up so much more of her energy. So she let go of a lot of anger, a lot of resentment that had been contributing to her dis-ease. And she just could not believe the difference. So when she went through this process, we did more work, obviously, than just those 7 steps. We also cleared some of her, a lot of her subconscious programs and limiting beliefs connected to that event and connected to what was holding her back in her business. And she said, I just cannot believe how much more relaxed I am in the context of those relationships. Like, she said, it was just so freeing. And finally, love and appreciation. So I've already talked about how powerful love and appreciation is. So going right to the keys, when you practice gratitude, I say this to everybody, but for entrepreneurs, I can tell you from my own experience, but also from eavesdropping on the conversations of some very influential and successful entrepreneurs. I was at an event in Hollywood, California, and I was late going down for the first opening speaker. And I went into the breakfast area, and 2 of the speakers were seated in the breakfast area. Sunny Lenarduzzi, who is a huge YouTube influencer and coach. So she coaches people on how to blow up their YouTube channel. And then Chris Wilson, who works with entrepreneurs about getting into magazines and into, media. And they were talking, and I got seated right next to them. And so they were talking about their morning routines. And so I was like listening really carefully to what they were talking about. And both of them have a gratitude practice. They start every single day with gratitude, and they end every single day with gratitude religiously. And they were talking about how it had transformed their lives and their success in their business. And so it isn't just about like making a rote list. It's not about just like, I'm grateful for my dog, I'm grateful for my house, I'm grateful for my partner, I'm grateful for my kids. It's more about going deeper into the experience of why you're grateful and what you're grateful for, and using the power of your mind visualization to visualize what it is that you're grateful for. So to relive it, to relive the experience. So let's say your child did something nice for you, drew a picture for you at school, or your partner brought you a cup of tea when you were working really hard on a project. And so it's about like that night when you're making your list, reflecting on, wow, like when Tim brought me that tea, that was so thoughtful of him, so kind of him, so loving of him. So I'm looking for his strengths. I'm looking for, like just savoring the tea, like, oh my God, that peppermint tea felt so good and it was so soothing. And it sounds a little bit woo-woo, but I'm telling you, the deeper you go into gratitude, the higher your vibration will be. And if you start your day with gratitude, you go into your day with a whole different outlook. You are open to possibilities. You're not talking about your problems. You're talking about possibilities. And by the way, you want to surround yourself with other people who do the same thing. And that we could have a whole conversation around that too. But as business owners, you want to be engaging with people who are possibility focused, not problem focused. See, Lola agrees. That's my little dog, Lola, barking in the background. The joys of online webinars. So focusing on what's right with the world, remembering to remember, the gift of surprise, and here are the benefits. So again, if you don't believe me, there are all kinds of scientific studies that have been done around the power of gratitude. So it improves mental and physical health. You will sleep better. So who's having the sleep problem? Is that John? Okay, so John, for you, if you engage in a gratitude practice and you do it regularly, and especially if you do it before bed, you will sleep better. And what will play on your subconscious mind all night are all of those things that you just reflected on. What you take in right before you go to sleep plays in your subconscious mind all night. So I used to watch Gotham with Tim before we would go to sleep. And when I learned this, if there's any Batman fans, Gotham is like the darkest, most violent, gory, and that's what we were taking in when I was at the height of burnout. Oh, Dexter was another one that we would watch right before bed. So now it's all about my nighttime ritual. So John, for you, gratitude would be huge. And another thing you might want to try, I don't know if you've tried this before, are sleep stories. So there are a couple of apps out there, the Calm app and the Headspace app. So you could do a meditation or you could do a sleep story, depending on, which one resonates. You could try one of each and see how they work. Sleep stories almost put you into a trance-like hypnotic kind of state. And if you do them in the app, your phone automatically shuts off when it's done. So you can relax, fall asleep during the story, and your phone will shut off. If you do them on YouTube where they're free, then you have to wake up to shut your phone off. So it's not as effective. There's also a hypnotist out there by the name of Dave McGraw, and he has a sleep hypnosis that you can do on YouTube that's totally free. And he is mesmerizing. But when you listen to the hypnosis, you want to have like noise canceling headphones on. So if you can sleep with those on, you'd be away to the races. All right, so grateful people sleep better. Please do the gratitude practice though, John. I'm telling you, it will change your life. It will change your life. It enhances self-esteem and it increases your mental strength. This is Jen. Jen is a teacher and she came into the program, and gratitude transformed her children as well, and as well her teaching practice. So she started to begin every day with a gratitude practice with the students that she was working with. And she was working with some behavior problem students. And she said, oh my gosh, it just sets them up for so much more success. It opens their minds up, new neural pathways, all of those things. And her little girl, just really quick story, her little girl who's like 6 and just learning to write and doesn't have the greatest writing. She came downstairs one morning and Jen was doing her morning routine. And she asked her mom, what are you doing? And so Jen said, I'm doing my gratitude journaling. What's that? And so Jen says, well, I'm just making lists of all the things that I'm grateful for. And she read a couple of things to her little girl. So she said, okay, now you let mommy finish up and then I'll come make you breakfast. So when Jen had breakfast ready, she called to her little girl and her little girl responded, I'll be there in a minute. I'm just doing my gratefuls. And so her little girl at the age of 6 started her own little gratitude practice. And so Jen was very good about her boundaries. Like she said, why don't you do that in your room when you wake up? Let mommy finish her routine and then we'll share our gratitudes over breakfast. And so she said her little girl was so much calmer going into the day. Like it was just a really nice way for them to, to engage with each other. So gratitude can be so powerful and you never know who it's going to impact. When you start to transform your life, everything around you transforms, including your relationships. If you have children, if you have relatives that you are close to, even the ones that you're not close to, as you go through a transformation, there's all this information out there about epigenetics, where this is now proven that if you share DNA with somebody and you go through a transformative experience, they transform on a cellular level as well. So they experience within themselves some kind of transformation that they may not even be consciously aware of, but you'll notice it in your relationships with them. Your relationships start to become more positive. Why? Because you're looking at things through a strengths lens, you're looking at relationships through the eyes of possibilities instead of problems and negativity. So racing through the end there, let me ask you this. Who is ready for increased happiness? If you're ready for increased happiness, raise your hand. Who is ready for more energy? If you're ready for more energy, raise your hand. Empowered thinking. Who wants more empowered thinking in your life right now? Liberation of time. Who wants more time? Yes, time, freedom, improved relationships, better communication. Awesome. I'm seeing lots of hands up there. All right, so which step will you take today that will bring you into those places that I just asked you about? Which steps are you ready to take to get more energy, to get more focus? Write it down. Which one resonates for you? Which one are you ready to begin with? Creating a powerful vision, creating your own reality, creating time and energy, transforming pain, increasing love and appreciation. And you may be wondering, okay, so I know which step I want to begin with, but I'm not really sure where to begin in that step. If that's you, then I have a gift for all of you that Brianna will invite you to in that email. So I am offering one free coaching session where I will show you how to get crystal clear on what your vision is, what it is that you want, what things are getting in the way, and then what steps you need to take your life and your business to the next level. So that's my gift to you. It's valued at $300 and it's there for you. And if you book, well, you know what? I'm gonna give you this free mini workbook if you decide to sign up for my emails. So if you sign up for my emails, you'll receive this mini workbook that will help you get clear on your values. So there's an activity in there that's quite in depth and will bring you clarity around what your core values are. It also gives you a little activity that you can do in the morning and at night. So part of a ritual that you could start for yourself around shifting those neural pathways from problem focus to possibility focus. And then there's a lovely activity there called A Beautiful Day, where you can do some planning of a day where you would be fully engaging with your strengths. You can do it from your own strengths, or you could also design a day for somebody that you love. So you could look at their strengths and design a day that the two of you would spend together where you're engaging in their strengths. So if you would like that workbook, sign up for my email. I do hope that you'll book a call because I am super, super passionate about showing people how to take their lives to the next level. And I say with great pride that any of the clients that I have worked with have all achieved what they set out to do in my program. So my program is a proven program, and I'd love to talk with you more about that as well. If you're an action taker and you just want to go right ahead and book a session with me, your free session, that's my link to my calendar. I don't know if, can we drop that in the chat, Brianna?
Yeah, if you are able to just highlight that and then just throw it in the chat, you're more than welcome to do so.
Okay.
And again, I will send everything out to everybody and all of her contact information. So if you want to reach out to her, you're more than welcome to do so.
Awesome. My little chat box isn't dropping down for some reason, but that's okay. Oh, there it is. It's just slow. Reach it over my podium here. So does anybody have any questions for me? I'm happy to answer questions for anyone who wants to stay a little bit longer. You can just unmute yourselves. And if you have questions but you're shy, we can certainly talk about those on a call. So if you want to ask questions about how you could take certain things deeper, do deeper practices with some of these things, then we can talk about that on a call as well. So I just want to thank Brianna for bringing us together today and providing me with the opportunity to share all of this with all of you. And I'd also like to thank each and every one of you for showing up powerfully today, for staying for the entire workshop. I hope that you receive value through your experience with me this morning. And I really hope that we connect again very soon. So thank you to all of you.
And again, thank you, Shelley, for coming out today, or virtually coming out today, and putting this presentation together. I am definitely going to take that gratitude one back home with me, and I'm going to work on that myself.
Awesome.
So I kind of tried to make some positive changes in my life just personally. A couple of years ago, that was one of my things that I kind of work on. So we've kind of added some things that I can add into my own daily life already.
Yeah.
And again, this is recorded, so if you guys want to see this again, you're more than welcome to do so, and I will send out all the information to the 3 here and the rest that registered for the webinar also.
Okay, awesome. Wonderful. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. And John, I hope you get a good night.